The region now known as Thailand was initially inhabited by early archaic hominids at least 500,000 years ago. It was a long journey from Africa to Thailand for the earliest modern people, and therefore, it was not until much later that the first Homo sapiens made their home there. The oldest artifacts were found approximately 18,000 years ago. Local hunter-gatherers grew rice as a dietary supplement, which they included in their traditional diets. Around 1500 BCE, human settlements began to form around the cultivation of rice and the mining of metals like copper and bronze. The local economy relied heavily on mining even during the hunter-gatherer era, which began around 3000 BCE. Funan is the first kingdom in the area that has been documented. Its primary origin was not in Thailand, but in the neighboring Mekong Delta. Although the exact date of the kingdom's establishment is unknown, the records that do mention it are instances from the 1st century AD that come from China. Archaeological finds, however, indicate that the region was heavily populated as early as the 4th century BCE. Indian culture had a significant impact on this early kingdom and many others that followed. This led to the spread of Buddhism and Hinduism. Parts of Thailand were under the rule of the Mon and Khmer kingdoms, which had their headquarters in the Indochina Mekong Delta. Thus, the Mondvaravati people are the ancestors of the earliest known indigenous Thai culture. From 600 to 900 AD, they ruled central Thailand and wrote in a Sanskrit dialect that was quite similar to southern India's. But both the north and the south brought cultural influences. Theravada Buddhism, which Mondvaravati practiced, was most likely imported from Sri Lanka. But the region lost its autonomy to Indochina's more powerful civilizations in the 10th century. During this time, the Thai people started making the long journey south from their original homelands in southern China. They would later become the territory's namesakes. When they initially arrived, they were helpless nomads in kingdoms controlled by other people. Particularly the Thai established settlements in regions under Khmer rule. Suryavarman I, one of the legendary Khmer rulers, unified the majority of the kingdom. He appears to have relied heavily on Thai troops to pull that off, according to the textual records. But when the old powers lost ground, the Thai finally established their own empire. Coming out of the power vacuum first were a number of city-states. One, nevertheless, quickly became superior to all others. Sri Indraditya established the kingdom of Sukhothai in 1238. Since it coincided with the early height of the local people's political influence and cultural achievements, modern Thais look back on this period as a glorious one. The people of the Thai ethnicity in this kingdom changed their identity from Thai to Thai, a term that symbolizes their newfound freedom. Their new name, which means free in English, symbolizes their freedom from colonial control. However, this independence was short-lived, as the Sukhothai monarchs acknowledged the imperial rule of the Yuan dynasty and paid tribute to him. Tradition has it that the Thai monarchy had an extremely simple form of government. In ancient times, people would ring a bell outside the royal palace to alert the ruler to their grievances. Father governs children was the name given to this form of governance. Even now, it serves as an example for the Thai government. King Ramkhamhaeng oversaw Sukhothai's rise to prominence as a city-state. The monarch supposedly also created the Thai alphabet. Nonetheless, it was probably a slow process. It is important to remember that other Thai city-states preserved their independence and cultural autonomy during this period, even if Sukhothai was dominant. One notable exception is the Lana Kingdom, which continued to exist even after the Sukhothai Empire collapsed. Thai supremacy persisted, but it accomplished this via an entirely new kingdom. In 1350, the island city of Ayutthaya, which is encircled by rivers, came into being. Being the epicenter of an empire, its influence expanded at an exponential rate. From the Malay Islands to the very edge of central Burma, its domain was extensive. Important cultural shifts occurred throughout this time as well. Theravada Buddhism is still officially recognized as the state religion, a status it gained in the 14th century under Ramathi Bodhi. His government also compiled a legal code, drawing from Hindu philosophy, ritual, and local traditions. For around 500 years, the Dharmashastra served as the country's official legal system. It was eventually replaced in the 19th century. Thai medicine and art both reached their zenith during the Ayutthaya era. By 1700, according to some estimates, nearly 1 million people were living in the city. If this figure is accurate, it would have made Ayutthaya the largest metropolis on Earth at that time. A new hub, the city of Lavo emerged. Lavo, a prominent Hindu cultural center from the 14th century, stood in contrast to Ayutthaya, which was more closely associated with Buddhism. Meanwhile, Malay cultures were expanding their influence into the southern region of what is now Thailand. However, they lacked political unity. Chinese sources described the Malay-dominated areas as weak in terms of both culture and governance. European colonial influence first reached Thailand during this period of Thai sovereignty. In the West, the region became known as Siam, a name given by European colonizers. Portuguese diplomats arrived in the city in 1511 and formally established diplomatic ties with the monarchy. While colonial trade routes proved disastrous for many parts of the world, Ayutthaya seems to have greatly benefited from them. But this golden era came to an abrupt end with the Burmese conquest, which terminated Ayutthaya's 400-year reign. The Burmese-Siamese War began in 1547. Despite decades of resistance, the Ayutthaya kingdom was eventually defeated. In the 18th century, Burmese Bamar forces conquered the city. With the fall of Lana as well, the Burmese came to dominate the entire region. Although they had once paid homage to the Thai, the Burmese had grown increasingly powerful and overtook the neighboring city-states. A local nobleman of Chinese descent named Taskin led a successful revolt and consolidated control over most of Siam. During his reign, Taskin also strengthened his social and commercial ties with China. This helped lay the groundwork for a large wave of Chinese immigration into Thailand. Unfortunately, Taskin's mental health deteriorated. His erratic behavior eventually cost him both his throne and his life. He was executed in 1782. After Taskin's downfall, the Chakri dynasty came to power and established its capital in Rattanakosin, modern-day Bangkok. The dynasty succeeded in repelling the Burmese and expanded Siam's influence northward. Up until the reign of King Mongkut, the Siamese state had followed a more traditional trajectory. But facing new threats from technologically superior colonial invaders and regional rivals, Mongkut fast-tracked the modernization process. By playing the colonial powers against each other, Siam managed to retain a degree of independence. However, in 1904, the French and the British divided the region into spheres of influence. With the arrival of French troops, Siam was effectively transformed into a colony, though it retained formal independence and later joined the League of Nations on equal footing with other member states. In 1932, a group of reformers overthrew the monarchy and established a constitutional democracy in Bangkok. Not long after, a nationalist government came to power and rebranded the country as Thailand. In 1944, a pro-Allied administration replaced the previous regime, which had sided with Japan during World War II. However, in 1947, a nationalist military government returned to power, and civilian rule failed to take hold. The new regime was staunchly anti-communist and pro-American. A movement toward democracy began in 1973 with a public uprising. Still, this did not bring political stability. The military retained outsized influence, and democracy remained a divisive and often violent process. Modern Thailand is a paradox. Despite its political dysfunction and corruption, it remains a place of peace and spiritual reflection for Buddhists. It has adopted many of the more troubling aspects of Western society while still clinging to deeply traditional roots. Thailand is open to Western tourists, yet somehow remains secluded, ancient and culturally rich. Beautiful and vibrant, Thailand is still home to some of the world's finest cuisine. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up.